Ladies, I want to challenge you with a radical idea, one that might seem counterintuitive in a world that constantly reduces relationships to physical transactions. If you want to truly capture a man's heart, if you want a relationship that is built on something unshakable, then forget sex. Give him something far more valuable. A man will not thrive in an environment where he feels disrespected. This isn't about blind submission or catering to his ego. It's about understanding how deeply wired respect is in his identity. When a man feels respected, he flourishes. When he feels disrespected, he withdraws. Think about the way men are built. From a young age, they are taught to prove themselves on the field, in their careers, in their ability to provide and protect. They seek validation through their actions. If they feel their work, their thoughts, and their presence are valued, they will give everything. But if they sense criticism, belittlement, or lack of appreciation, they will either shut down emotionally or fight back in frustration. Imagine a man who works tirelessly to provide for his family. He spends long hours ensuring there is food on the table and a roof over their heads. He walks through the door exhausted, carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. If the first words he hears are complaints about what he didn't do or how he isn't enough, it cuts deeper than a knife. It tells him that his sacrifices don't matter. It tells him that no matter what he does, he will never be enough. And when a man feels that way, something inside him breaks. A different approach changes everything. When that same man walks through the door and hears, "See how hard you're working and I appreciate you," it transforms his entire being. That respect gives him the strength to keep going. He doesn't feel like he is fighting the battle alone. He feels like this doesn't mean ignoring faults or pretending everything is perfect. It means communicating in a way that builds rather than tears down. Criticism, when necessary, should be constructive, not destructive. Instead of saying, "You never listen to me," say, "I feel unheard when we talk, and I really want us to connect." One approach pushes him away, the other draws him closer. Respect is also demonstrated in small, everyday interactions. It's in the way you speak to him, especially in front of others. A man will remember how you treat him when no one is watching, but he will never forget how you treat him when everyone is. Public humiliation, sarcasm, or dismissing his opinions may seem insignificant in the moment, but they chip away at his spirit over time. Men do not always express their need for respect in words, but they show it in their reactions. A man who feels disrespected will either shut down or act out. A man who feels respected will open up, become more giving, and devote himself fully. If you want to see the best in a man, give him the respect his soul craves, and he will move mountains for you. Men are taught from a young age to be strong, to suppress emotions, and to carry their burdens without complaint. The world does not give them space to be vulnerable. They are expected to perform, to succeed, and to provide without showing weakness. The weight of this expectation is staggering. In a world that constantly demands strength from him, a man desperately needs a place where he can be weak without fear. If he cannot find that with you, he will never fully open up. He may enjoy your company, appreciate your beauty, or even love you in his way, but he will never let you into the deepest parts of himself. Picture a man who has been holding everything together, dealing with pressure at work, financial struggles, or internal battles he doesn't speak about. If the moment he tries to express frustration or doubt, he is met with dismissal or told to man up, he will learn to stay silent. Over time, this silence creates distance, and the connection weakens. A man will only reveal his fears, doubts, and struggles to someone he trusts. That trust is built when he knows he won't be ridiculed, criticized, or seen as less of a man for being human. When he shares a problem, he isn't always looking for a solution. Sometimes he just wants to be heard without judgment. This doesn't mean becoming his therapist. It means being a source of comfort rather than pressure. It means knowing when to listen instead of advising. A woman who can sit with a man in his lowest moments without making him feel like a failure holds a power greater than physical attraction. When a man finds emotional security, he becomes more confident in the relationship. He knows he doesn't have to wear a mask, that he can exhale without fear of being seen as weak. He becomes more open, more communicative, and more connected. And in return, he will cherish the person who gives him that freedom. A safe space is not about allowing disrespect or tolerating bad behavior. It is about creating an environment where a man feels understood. If he knows that his struggles are not a burden to you, but something you are willing to hold space for, he will see you as irreplaceable. The world is hard enough on men. They fight battles no one sees. The greatest gift you can give is not criticism, not demands, but a place where they can lay down their armor without fear. When a man finds that, he will never want to let it go. Attraction isn't just about appearance. It's about intrigue, anticipation, and the unknown. The moment a man feels like he has figured everything out, his interest starts to fade. Not because he's looking for something new, but because he no longer has anything to discover. Mystery is what keeps a man engaged, what makes him want to learn more, what keeps him coming back. Think about how people are drawn to a great novel or an unpredictable movie. The excitement comes from not knowing what happens next. The same applies to relationships. If every thought, every emotion, and every move is laid out without any sense of mystery, the spark begins to dull. A woman who holds back just enough, who doesn't reveal everything too soon, creates a sense of curiosity. This doesn't mean playing games or being deceptive. It means maintaining a sense of individuality, independence, and depth that keeps a man wanting to explore more of who you are. Consider the difference between two scenarios. One woman immediately gives all of her time, constantly checking in, making herself available at every moment. The other woman values her own time, has her own life, and lets a man wonder what she's to. The first woman may be appreciated, but the second woman will be pursued. This doesn't mean withholding affection or acting uninterested. It means understanding that desire grows in space, not suffocation. A man needs room to miss you, to think about you, to wonder what's on your mind. If you are always there, always predictable, he will never feel that sense of longing that fuels deeper attraction. Mystery also applies to emotional depth. A man should feel like there is always more to discover about you, your passions, your dreams, your thoughts on life. If he feels like he has uncovered everything too quickly, he may subconsciously start looking for something new to figure out. But if he constantly sees new layers to you, if you keep surprising him with your insights, ambitions, and perspectives, he will remain captivated. Think about the most fascinating people in history. They were not the ones who laid everything out instantly. They were the ones who carried a sense of depth, who made people lean in closer, wanting to know more. That is the energy that keeps a man drawn in long after the initial attraction has settled. A man can find physical attraction anywhere. What sets a woman apart is her ability to engage his mind. If a man feels mentally stimulated, if he finds himself challenged, intrigued, and inspired by the way a woman thinks, he will crave her presence beyond just the surface. Men are problem solvers by nature. They enjoy discussions that push their perspectives, that challenge them to think in new ways. A woman who can introduce him to new ideas, who can have meaningful conversations about life, purpose, and ambition, becomes someone he respects on a deeper level. Superficial small talk doesn't hold a man's attention for long. Conversations centered only around daily routines, gossip, or shallow observations don't create a lasting bond. But when a woman engages in thought-provoking discussions, when she listens, questions, and shares ideas that make him reflect, she becomes irreplaceable. Consider a man who spends his days surrounded by surface-level interactions, work meetings, social pleasantries, casual jokes with friends. When he comes across a woman who speaks to his soul, who makes him think differently, who introduces new perspectives, she stands out in his mind. He will find himself drawn to her words, looking forward to every conversation, eager to hear what she has to say next. This doesn't mean always talking about serious topics or debating ideas endlessly. It means showing intellectual curiosity, being engaged in something beyond the ordinary, and inviting him into deeper discussions. A woman who is passionate about learning, about growth, about understanding the world around her, naturally becomes more attractive. Men admire women who can hold their own in a conversation, who can contribute insights and challenge them in a way that is respectful yet thought-provoking. A man who values intelligence will never settle for someone who only engages at a surface level. He wants someone who makes him think, who makes him question, who expands his way of seeing the world. There is also power in knowing when to listen. Many people listen only to respond, waiting for their turn to speak. But a woman who truly listens, who absorbs what a man is saying and responds with depth and understanding, creates a different kind of bond. She makes him feel heard, valued, and understood. Think of the relationships where two people can sit for hours, talking about everything and nothing at the same time. That level of connection doesn't happen through empty words or forced conversations. It happens when two minds engage on a level that goes beyond the surface. A man who finds a woman intellectually stimulating will never grow tired of her. He will seek out her thoughts, crave her insights, and value her presence in a way that transcends physical attraction. The ability to engage a man's mind is one of the most powerful ways to create a lasting connection, one that goes beyond momentary passion and into something far more enduring. A man without a mission is lost. He may not always articulate it, but deep inside, every man carries a longing to build something greater than himself. It might be his career, his personal development, his contribution to the world, or the legacy he wants to leave behind. When a man has clarity on his mission, he operates at his highest potential. When he feels unsupported in that mission, he begins to question himself, his abilities, and even his relationship. A woman who understands this doesn't compete with his purpose. She fuels it. She doesn't distract him from his vision. She sharpens it. She doesn't demand that he abandon his dreams for her. She stands beside him as he pursues them. This kind of support doesn't mean sacrificing your own goals or losing yourself in his journey. It means recognizing what drives him, encouraging his ambitions, and being the one person who reminds him that his efforts matter. Imagine a man working toward a demanding career, perhaps starting a business or pursuing a creative passion. He faces setbacks, long nights, financial struggles, and moments of doubt. If the person closest to him questions his path, tells him he's wasting time, or constantly complains that he isn't available enough, his motivation starts to dwindle. He begins to feel that his dreams are burdens rather than pursuits worth fighting for. Over time, he might choose comfort over ambition, and resentment will settle in for both of them. Now consider the opposite. A woman who sees his vision and says, "I believe in you." A woman who understands that his late nights aren't neglect but sacrifice, that his moments of struggle aren't failure but part of the process. A woman who doesn't need to fix his problems but instead reminds him that he has what it takes to push through them. That kind of support is rare. And because it's rare, it's deeply valued. This isn't about blind praise or ignoring reality. If his path is destructive or leading him away from his true potential, a supportive partner challenges him to see clearly. She asks thoughtful questions, helps him refine his goals, and keeps him accountable to his highest self. But she does it in a way that uplifts rather than diminishes. Men remember the ones who stood by them when they were struggling. When success comes, they don't forget the person who believed in them before the world did. A man who feels that kind of support will move mountains to protect and provide for the one who gave it. A man might be drawn to ease, but he is transformed by challenge. If everything comes too easily, he doesn't grow. If he never has to push himself, he remains stagnant. He needs a reason to step up, to refine his character, to become the kind of man even he can respect. The right kind of woman doesn't tolerate mediocrity. She inspires him to rise above it. This isn't about nagging or criticizing. It's about setting a standard that calls him to be his best self. A man who is serious about you will take that challenge as motivation, not rejection. He will recognize that the expectation for growth is a sign of deep respect, not control. A woman who expects a man to lead with integrity, to take responsibility, and to develop himself is a woman who sees his highest potential. Men often rise or fall to the expectations placed upon them. If a woman tolerates laziness, excuses, or inconsistency, he will sink into those patterns. But if she makes it clear that she values discipline, ambition, and self-improvement, he will step up, not because he fears losing her, but because he respects her enough to become better. Consider a man who lacks direction, who drifts without a sense of purpose. If he is surrounded by people who enable that stagnation, he will remain stuck. But if the woman in his life challenges him, gently but firmly, to aim higher, he will start to see himself differently. He will begin to believe he is capable of more. The key is balance. A woman who constantly criticizes or makes a man feel like he's never enough will break him down, not build him up. The goal is to inspire, not to control. Encouraging his growth should come from a place of belief in his potential, not from frustration or superiority. A man who respects you will rise to the challenge you set. If you demand honesty, he will strive for integrity. If you value hard work, he will push himself. If you expect emotional maturity, he will learn to communicate better. But those standards have to be lived, not just spoken. A woman who embodies the qualities she expects from a man naturally inspires him to meet her at that level. Deep down, every man wants to be respected, to be seen as strong, capable, and worthy. When a woman holds him accountable to that standard, not through demands but through her own example, she becomes someone he admires. And admiration, more than fleeting attraction, is what builds lasting devotion. A man's world is filled with pressure, expectations to perform, to provide, to lead, to remain strong even when he feels weak. He faces stress from his career, from society, from his own internal doubts. The last thing he wants is to come home to more turmoil. What he craves, often more than he realizes, is emotional stability. He needs a partner who brings calm, not conflict, a woman who becomes a source of peace rather than a storm of unpredictability. Many relationships fail not because love is absent, but because peace is. A man can deeply care for a woman, but if she constantly brings drama, insecurity, or emotional outbursts into his life, he will start to pull away, not because he doesn't love her, but because he feels exhausted. No man wants to feel like he is always walking on eggshells, anticipating the next argument or emotional explosion. When his relationship drains him more than it restores him, he will seek distance. Emotional stability does not mean suppressing feelings or pretending problems don't exist. It means handling emotions with maturity, communicating effectively, and creating a space where both partners feel safe to express themselves without fear of unnecessary conflict. A woman who knows how to regulate her emotions, who doesn't let small issues turn into major battles, who chooses patience over impulsivity, will always stand out. She will be the one he turns to, not away from, in times of stress. Consider a man who has had a difficult day at work. He is frustrated, drained, and mentally exhausted. He comes home to two possible scenarios. In one, his partner immediately criticizes him, complains about minor issues, and adds to his stress. In the other, his partner recognizes his exhaustion, gives him space to unwind, and later engages in a meaningful conversation about his day. The difference between these two experiences is the difference between a relationship that drains and one that strengthens. Now, this doesn't mean a woman should suppress her own emotions just to keep the peace. It means choosing battles wisely, addressing issues in a way that leads to solutions rather than more conflict, and understanding that emotional balance is one of the greatest gifts she can offer. A woman who can navigate disagreements with grace, who can express her needs without resorting to unnecessary drama, becomes someone a man deeply values. Men respect women who have control over their emotions. They admire women who handle stress with resilience, who approach problems with a level head, who know when to speak and when to listen. This kind of stability makes a man feel safe, not in a weak way, but in a way that allows him to focus on his mission without being constantly derailed by chaos. A woman who embodies emotional stability will always be irreplaceable. She becomes the person he confides in, the one he seeks out when he needs clarity, the one he trusts above all others. And trust, more than passion or attraction, is what sustains a relationship through the hardest seasons. A man can receive admiration from the world, applause at work, recognition from peers, acknowledgement from strangers, but none of it matters if the one person he loves most does not respect him. A woman's respect is the foundation of a man's confidence. When he feels respected, he feels capable. When he feels disrespected, he begins to doubt himself. And that doubt can erode not only his sense of worth, but also the foundation of the relationship. Respect is not about blind obedience or submission. It is about recognizing a man's strengths, valuing his efforts, and appreciating who he is. It is about speaking to him in a way that uplifts rather than belittles, addressing issues with care rather than contempt, and treating him with the same dignity and honor that one would expect in return. Men are deeply affected by the way they are spoken to. Words have power, and when a woman consistently criticizes, mocks, or dismisses a man, he will either become defensive or withdraw entirely. A man who feels disrespected in his own home will not fight for that home. He will slowly detach from it. On the other hand, a man who feels respected will go to great lengths to protect, provide, and cherish the woman who gives him that sense of value. Respect is shown in the way a woman acknowledges his efforts, even the small ones. A man who tries, even if he falls short, wants to know that his efforts are seen. When a woman expresses appreciation, whether it's for his hard work, his problem solving, or even his presence, he feels like he has a place where he is truly valued. This does not mean ignoring faults or tolerating bad behavior. Respect goes both ways, and a man who does not act with integrity does not deserve blind admiration. But a woman who chooses to address concerns with wisdom rather than hostility, who communicates disappointment without tearing down his character, maintains the respect in the relationship. Think about the difference between a woman who says, "You never do anything right," versus a woman who says, "I appreciate everything you do, but I feel hurt about this specific issue." The first approach breeds resentment. The second invites a man to reflect and improve without feeling attacked. The way a woman expresses her concerns determines whether a man listens or shuts down. Men are wired to seek respect. It is why they work hard, why they take on challenges, why they push themselves to succeed. A woman who understands this and gives respect freely, not as manipulation, but as genuine acknowledgement of his worth, will always be cherished. A man who feels respected will move mountains for the woman who gives him that gift. He will protect her, honor her, and remain devoted to her because, at his core, he knows that her respect is the foundation of everything he stands for. Sex is easy, anyone can offer that. But true connection, true admiration, and true loyalty come from something much deeper. If you want a man to see you as irreplaceable, if you want a relationship that stands the test of time, then forget sex. Give him something that no one else can. Give him respect, give him emotional security, keep him intrigued, challenge his mind, support his mission, respect yourself, embrace your feminine energy, and most importantly, live with purpose. If you do this, You won't have to chase a man. He will chase you.